Let's get this roast a cooking. Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and on today's video we're going to do a wear test first and foremost on this fragrance. We're also going to do a review on this fragrance, so let's get into it. So the fragrance that we have here today is Purple Oud by the house of Christian Dior. Ah, look at that, it's purple. I think it's a little bit more magenta than purple actually. So on today's video, I have a fragrance from Dior, La Collection Privée. Yes, that's right. So this is a box that you get whenever you purchase it. I'm not going to open it because it's just filled with tissue paper at this point. Nice thing that Dior does do with their La Collection Privée is that they offer you a little pillow, and that pillow is designed for you to spray it with the fragrance that you purchase, and you're supposed to put it in your undergarments drawer. I believe you can put it in any drawer. I'm not sure why they specify undergarments. But the fragrance that I have here today is Purple Oud, so I'm very excited about this one. Now, I will say something before I start. This fragrance, I took the longest to pull the plug on or to pull the trigger on because I was very scared, if I could say that. I purchased Oud Rosewood thinking it was going to be magical. I was already a big fan, and I had already purchased Oud Isfahan, and I was like, yes, Dior does oud great in their fragrances. I'm so excited. So I bought Oud Rosewood, and let's just say I was a little scarred because I really didn't like it. I mean, I can see the beauty in the fragrance itself, but it's a little hard to wear for me. It's that berry note that just gets me every time. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. So I was very hesitant to buy another oud fragrance. And on top of that, after I bought Oud Rosewood, I bought Bois d'Argent, and that one itself I was also a little let down by because I was hearing all these great things about the fragrance. And while it is a nice fragrance for the price point, it's a little underwhelming as well, at least in my opinion. And yeah, since then I was very hesitant to buy from this collection again. Some of the samples that I had gotten, like Eden Rock, were horrible. Let's just say that Eden Rock. I won't do a review on that fragrance ever on this channel, and I'll tell you why really quickly. That fragrance gives me a migraine. I'm not one that gets triggered for migraines with scent. Knock on wood, that stays the case. But the fragrance itself gives me a horrible migraine. I don't know, something about it just really sends me off the deep end. But let's get into this one. So this is what the box looks like. So when you buy these, you get this little nice white box. It's a porous type of paper here. You do get where it says Dior at the top, where it says CD for Christian Dior, if that will focus here. At the bottom, you get all of your information, such as the batch code number, where it's made, the name of the fragrance as well, and how many mils. So I did buy the 125 mils, and I wish I would have bought it when they still offered the 15-ounce bottle. This fragrance I have fallen in love with. We'll get into everything here, but oh my god. Why didn't I do it? I should have gotten this instead of Oud Rosewood, but anywho, once you open this up, you get your pretty little bottle that sits inside of there. And here we have the star of the show. It is Purple Oud. This fragrance was launched in 2018, and the perfumer for this fragrance is Francois Dimashi. I believe he's done all of the oud fragrances, so Oud Isfahan, Oud Rosewood, Oud Leather as well, and Purple Oud. And this one itself, like I said, was launched in 2018. And the notes for this are going to be pink pepper, orange, oud, and saffron. So we get two very expensive ingredients in this, which is the saffron, it's incredibly expensive for perfumery. Oud's another one that's very expensive. It doesn't specify if there are raw ingredients or if there's synthesized notes in this fragrance. Because they're at the higher price point that they're at and they're La Collection Privée, I'm assuming they're raw ingredients, but you can never assume in today's market. The note of orange is what kind of threw me off here. I saw this fragrance, I was, eyeballing it, I was window shopping, I was scrolling, and I was just like, orange? Who puts orange and oud together? They just didn't compute in my head as notes that would go well together because orange is such a crisp, zesty, citricy note that's very bright and ethereal and light and, very clean and fresh. And I didn't think that oud would work well with orange. And that's what really got me every single time. I was just, taken aback by it. But with this fragrance, surprisingly, I am in love with the orange part of this fragrance. Now, I typically don't like the smell of orange, and I'll tell you why. When I was younger, I used to eat mandarins and mandarin oranges, and I hated the smell of the peel. In particular, my grandmother used to grab the peel and put it on the stove to quote unquote make the house smell good, and I just hated hated that scent. So that's what orange typically reminds me of, is a burning peel, in my opinion. But in this fragrance, it's just a magical, fresh, crisp, zesty orange mixed with that beautiful saffron note that really gives this another height of luxury. I also love the pink pepper in here, adds some spicy elements to it. And the oud in this is a very nice, sexy, refined, quiet oud, but it's a little cold. This fragrance itself is going to be a little bit colder than your traditional ouds. When we talk about oud fragrances, we're typically, seeing them mixed with amber. We're seeing them mixed with things that are going to make it a little bit more warm, such as roses or floral components. And this one is completely different from all of those. So anything you know about what oud composition fragrances typically smell like, throw that out of the window. And they rewrote the rule book for this one, and it's just a little bit more cold to the touch. It has a little bit more modernity to it. It's very light wearing, it's futuristic, it's very today. It's definitely a business person fragrance. It's serious, but it's still playful at the same time, but it's a little cold. It's like when you meet that person that you're like, oh, they're a boss essentially. And you're like, but they don't look like they want to communicate with anyone. This is the vibe that this fragrance actually gives off. And yes, I love it. I think it's a fantastic fragrance. I did do a wear test, and we'll get into that. But before we get into it, let's look at the price points for this, because it's a little pricey. And I think Dior at some point is going to do a price increase because Chanel did one, and Dior and Chanel tend to follow each other's trends. So 125 ml or 4.25 ounces, which is the one that I have here, is 330 US dollars. If you decide to go for the 250 ml or 8.5-ounce bottle, it is going to retail for $450. Now, I was surfing the web with Dior and looking at their website, and in some countries, believe it or not, they still offer the 15-ounce bottle, which is 450 mils. And if you can get that one, I would say do it. The only downside to that size is that you don't get a sprayer like you do here. And because you don't get a sprayer, it causes a lot of issues because you need to go buy your own pocket sprays or purse sprays. Dior offers them and sells them for $100, which I think is ridiculous. But you are able to go and get your own, and you're not going to be able to, carry your bottle with you for travel. You will have to fill up a bunch of little tiny vials to take on the go with you. But if that's not an issue for you, then I definitely think that that is the route to go for. You're getting quite a bit of juice. And even if you don't like the fragrance, there are websites where I think you can split the scent and sell some samples or sell some vials, that can kind of recoup the cost for you, which I should definitely do on some of the ones that I have. But let's get into the wear test to see how it wore, what my thoughts were initially with the fragrance. So let's get into it now. But we're going to do a wear test on this. I will check in with you periodically throughout the day. I usually do every 2 hours to make sure and see how the fragrance is wearing. Now, I'm fairly confident in Dior fragrances, especially when it comes to their oud range, because Oud Rosewood, Oud Ispahan, both wore very lovely and they wore for a while. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to wear for a long time as well. So yeah, let's get this roast to cooking. So if you don't know where that reference is from, yeah, it's from somewhere. So let's spray it. So I'm going to spray some in my forearm, on my wrist a little bit. I hate doing my wrist because you're not supposed to rub your actual wrist together. That bruises a fragrance. If you don't know what bruising the fragrance means, essentially what that means is that when you're rubbing them, you're mixing all the notes and the compounds and the way that it's supposed to dry down, because there's actually chemistry behind perfume. And the way that it works is if you rub it, you're kind of messing that up itself. I hate when it kind of starts to like drip a little bit. So yeah, just do it, to where it's not dripping on you. And yeah, so I'm gonna also put some on my body. I do like this scent, I have to say. It's a refreshing oud, which is, ooh, it's hard to find a refreshing oud. I just have to say that. Oud Ispahan is my favorite still, I think, thus far, but this one itself is a close contender for second, because it has that refreshing orange note in here which just gives it that splash, that pizzazz that makes it a little bit different. It's very unique. So I'll do some on the other side as well. And I'm wearing, very summer clothing because it's cold outside. But the way that my apartment is set up is that all of the sunshine comes in through the windows and it gets really hot in here. So, yeah, so I'm not going to put some on the Sephora, but it is currently 2 o'clock. I will check in with you at 5 o'clock. We will test it then. We will see if it's still wearing, if I had to reapply it. So far, so good. Upon initial spray, it smells as what the name describes, like purple oud. It has that very nice orangey note up top with beautiful saffron in it and pink pepper notes, as well as that gorgeous oud. I mean, it's just a very nice fragrance. It's very polished, it's well refined, it's well blended. But yes, we will check in a couple of hours and we'll see if it's still good or if it has changed nasty or sour. Let's see you at 5 o'clock. So it is my 5 o'clock check-in with you guys. Let me know if you actually like these, check-ins periodically throughout the day to see how the fragrance wears. If you don't, also let me know down in the comments. But this is the 3-hour mark of wearing Purple Oud, and I have to say it's still smelling as fresh as when I first sprayed it on. It's a good fragrance, you guys. I'm very shocked and I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt because I could have bought the 15-ounce bottle when they had it here in the US and I didn't. And I think it's just because of that orange note. I was very confused as to how orange would mix with oud, but they work so well together in this fragrance. It's refreshing, it's tangy, but it has that beautiful oudy element to it. It's just very nice and light, and I do think that it's a very wearable fragrance. It's incredibly unisex too. Surprisingly, I thought it was going to lean either masculine or feminine. In this case, it is like literally right in the middle, so yeah, it's still kicking, it's still wearing, and yeah, it's only been 3 hours, so I mean, that's not surprising. Like I said, I think that this is going to be another one like Oud Ispahan or Oud Rosewood that whenever you wash your clothes, it's still there. Maybe not as strong because it does have softer elements to it, but I do think that it'll last quite a long time. So I will check in with you at 7 p.m. Yeah. And we will see how it's wearing, if it's still wearing, if it's not wearing, all that good stuff. I look like dog doo-doo badly. But it is 7 o'clock and I did test out the fragrance. It's still kicking, it's still going. And let me just tell you, I've been sweating, I washed the dogs. So it was a pretty active day. And even with that, the fragrance is still wearing. I'm very much in love with it. Chris also decided to wear it. Um, how is it still wearing on you?
Very nice.
Very nice, he says. Yeah, he actually liked it. This is actually his first Dior fragrance that he actually likes. And I think with this one, it makes 6 or 7 that I own from the La Collection Privée. So Purple Oud is currently approved and it wears well. Now, I will say that I'm not going to do another check in because I have to take a bath. I'm all sweaty at this point. So, yeah, we started off at 2 o'clock. It is 7 o'clock. That makes a 5-hour wear test and it is still going. Like I said, it's going to be a long wearing oud. Now, really quick, it's not an intense oud fragrance, but it is oud-y, if that makes any sense. It'll wear for a long time, I think, but not as much as Oud Rosewood or as Oud Ispahan, but it's right behind them. So, yeah, let's go back to the review. So, in summary, what are my thoughts on this fragrance? It wore very well. Like I said in the wear test, I think the fragrance is going to be one of those that definitely wears quite a bit, such as Oud Ispahan does and Oud Rosewood, because both of those are long lasting scents. So, yes, I definitely would recommend this fragrance. I think that comparing it to the other two Oud fragrances, I mean, there's another one which is Leather Oud. I believe that's still around. I think it's an exclusive to Dior boutiques or certain Dior boutiques. But Leather Oud, from what I've heard, is very difficult to actually pull off because it has that very animalic touch to it. But in my opinion, Purple Oud compared to Oud Ispahan and Oud Rosewood, which are the other two mainstream oud fragrances by Dior, is a lot more wearable. You can wear on a daily basis. It's serious, but you can still dress it down and make it casual, which is a very nice thing whenever you're paying this much money for a fragrance. Of course, you want it to have personality and depth, which this one does, but it's still easy enough to pull off on a daily basis. And I think that's that orange note again that we come back to that really makes this fragrance a little bit more playful, very bright, very light. at the top, but then you still get those very expensive and luxurious notes that really make this fragrance unique. Yeah, what do you guys think about this fragrance? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give a video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more fragrance related content. Until next time, you guys, take care. Bye.